Hi, good afternoon everybody. My name is Dan Delisandri and I am leading the Ableton Live course for Cat in Leeds for the Get Your Act Together project. So this project has been funded by the lottery. This course will last for 10 weeks, so each week I'm going to be going through how to produce music using Ableton Live. And basically teaching you everything that I know about making music. To begin with, I need to read through a disclaimer. Each week I'll be doing it. So I'll just go through this with you first and then I can begin. Okay, so if you are a child watching, please make sure that your parents know what you are doing. You will be able to write comments when I'm live and leave comments once the stream is finished. Please do not mention your full name, address, phone number or email in these comments. So please keep your comments relevant to these sessions and be kind. Do not engage with other people if you do not know them in person. So all the comments are being monitored for your safety, and any abuse or inappropriate content will be reported and people will be removed from the channel. And I'm happy for you to tell me your first name. Maybe you could use like an emoji flag to show me which country you live in, but nothing more personal than this. Or if you can't find the flags, just type the name of the country, because this is going worldwide. So let's begin. Like I said before, each week on Monday at 4 p.m. for the next 10 weeks, I will be delivering the Ableton Live course to you. As each week progresses, I'll be showing something more interesting so that you can learn with me as you're going along. As you can see here, here's my email address and my website. So after this lesson, feel free to drop me an email if you've got any questions about getting set up within the software or anything else music related. Then here are my contact details. At the bottom here, function, that's one of the, that is a night that I run in Leeds, obviously currently on hold. But yeah, there's myself and a few other DJ producer friends who run that event across different venues in Leeds. And then Cyclic is my producer name. There's a Facebook page there, so you can go on there, hear the sort of music that I produce, the DJ mixes that I make with my friend Rick, and you can basically follow us and keep up to date with everything that we're doing. So today, the course that we're going to be, the actual module we're going to be starting with today is all about basically getting started with Ableton Live. Ableton Live is what's classed as a DAW, so a digital audio workstation. There are others out there. You might have heard of Logic, what is Cubase, FL Studio, Sonar, Reason. So there's quite a few out there that people use. Predominantly they all do the same thing, which is all about making music. They all do it in a slightly different way. I'm going to be teaching you how to use Ableton. That's my preferred DAW, and I use it to make music, produce my tracks. I use it for teaching. I think it's a really good way to kind of get your head around music production quite instantly by using this software. So yeah, this is what we're going to be focusing on. In between these lessons, during the week, I'll also be posting some shorter videos, like 5-minute videos of my top tips using Ableton, maybe a few other apps, other bits and bobs, little tricks that I've learned along the way, which can make your music sound really cool. That's a bit about me and about what we're going to be doing. A bit of background about the course. Before the whole COVID-19 lockdown, I was delivering this course in Leeds at the Cardigan Centre. That began at the beginning of the year and finished a few weeks ago before we went into lockdown. And fingers crossed, the course will start up again from September. So this term it's all about doing it live online. I'll go back to this at the end, but just quickly, here's the flyer for the course. So there's myself on a Monday. We've got singing and songwriting with Lisa on Tuesdays, guitar with Jack Wynn on Wednesdays, drumming with Gregory Granger on Thursday, and then Matty Scott is delivering the keyboard and production course on a Friday. So every day you can tune in at this time and learn something different. I definitely will be, and learn some new skills. So to begin with, what is music production? This is a quick look at Ableton software that we're going to be using. So yeah, the way that I kind of see what music production is, I kind of see it as layers and layers and layers of different sounds all on top of each other. So at different points in your song or your track that you're writing, there'll be different combinations of those layers. Some might be quite repetitive, like beats or bass lines. Some might just be one-off, like a kind of a vocal or an effectsy bass sound, something like that. But yeah, sometimes you hear all of them together, sometimes you'll just hear some of them, maybe 2 or 3, but that's what kind of makes up the different layers and the combinations. I kind of see these sounds as kind of textures. Think of it like a cake, maybe. Within a cake, there's certain ingredients that you need for it to be a cake, and yeah, think of like the different layers, the different sounds. You kind of need certain sounds to kind of be within your track to kind of make it a musical piece, especially within dance music. So that's what I mainly produce. Electronic music, you kind of need certain things in there, especially within certain genres of music. You need certain elements in there which make it up. So for example, in house music, most house music has like a 4 to the floor steady beat, whereas like a hip hop beat, rap beat might be more kind of broken, or like a drum and bass might be much faster, and they all kind of use certain sounds in there which make up those songs. So yeah, we'll be looking at that as we go along. So, and also within those layers, some have like lower frequencies, mid frequencies, high frequencies. So I kind of see it that you need to not fill up all the time, but have low frequencies, mid, or like throughout the song at different points, depending on what you're doing within your track. And all the different types of instruments and sounds that you can use within the software is helps you to make up those songs. So yeah, this is what Ableton Live looks like. We're currently on Live 10, which is the most recent version. So if you haven't already downloaded a copy of this, Ableton are really kindly giving people Live for free for 90 days. So yeah, get all your features of Live 10 Suite free for 90 days. That's pretty amazing. So if you just go to ableton.com, click on the top like I just showed you, and then you can download it here. I'm using a MacBook, it's the same on PC, there'll be a download link there. And just follow the steps and then you'll be set up. So you've got 90 days to use Ableton. Usually it's just 30 days, but obviously given the current situation, they've given it free for 90 days. I would say that Ableton are really, really good at supporting communities. I've done lots of projects over the years which Ableton have supported. So yeah, really, really good company, organisation to be part of. So yeah, get downloading Ableton, and then you can re-watch this video. It will be live for you to see after, so available for you to see after, and you can re-watch it and then follow the steps and pause, rewind, whatever's going to help you really. So this is the kind of the first view that you see when you load up Ableton. There's two views in Ableton. So this is your kind of session view, which is kind of, think of it, things working from the top down. So everything kind of works down. And then if I click on the other view, on the arrangement view, this is what people are more used to seeing. This kind of timeline view, where everything works from left to right. So to begin with, can switch in between the two views just by clicking here or by pressing tab on your keyboard. And if I just quickly show you the actual Ableton logo, there it is there. So vertical and horizontal, that's the logo, and that's pretty much how you use the software as well. There we go. So I'll just expand that now. So if I switch back over to the session view, so I kind of see this view here as like an artist's palette. So a painter would have all their kind of different colours, maybe their different textures on their palette, and this is the same way that I'll be using it for making music. So I like to kind of maybe get a few like samples, audio loops, a few different sounds in here, and kind of use that to start off my track. And then once I've kind of structured it a little bit on here, you can then record it into the arrangement view. And that's what we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to show you how to get some sounds into the software, and then with that you can record it into the arrangement view there, and then you can kind of carry on, or you can switch back. I think this is kind of what makes Ableton quite unique from other DAWs, is this whole view here, and only until recently it was pretty much only Ableton you could do that in, but it looked like this. Other DAWs have jumped on board with it as well, so you can do it in Machine, you can do something similar there, you can do something quite similar in Logic as well, I believe. So it's all kind of, everyone else is catching up to this, because you can use it. I mean, it's called Ableton Live for a reason. It's because you can use it for producing music, and you can be using it for performing live. So if you are, say for example, a singer or a guitarist, and you want a backing track, something to play along to, then yeah, you can basically put all your tracks in these little boxes here and trigger them, or, which I will explain further down the line, you can use hardware like a launch pad or an Ableton push to trigger the different sounds, so it allows you to perform live, which is really, really cool. Something I haven't done yet, and it's definitely on my plan to do this year, or when everything goes back to normal anyway. So yeah, so this is what we'll be using here. Officially it says this is where you can build, audition and experiment with loops in clip slots or cells, and this is where we're going to begin putting our sound. So it's quite great, it's quite instant, you're instantly kind of hearing sounds and making music, which is really, really cool. So so just I'll be showing you that in a bit more detail. So on the left hand side, this is your browser. I'll quickly go through what each part means. So in these categories, these are really important. So your sounds here, we'll be coming on to this next week. We'll be using this more in my next session. And if you click the little triangles, these are like little drop down menus, and it allows you to select which type of sounds that you're going to be using. This is more for using alongside, well, it's MIDI basically, so it's MIDI sounds and drums that you can program in yourself. Yeah, but we'll be looking at that next week. And the same with the drums, you can put these in your session, and then you can make music, program your beats and everything that way. Instruments, there's these analog, collision, drum rack, electric. So these are kind of instruments that again that you can put in. The simpler and the sampler, really, really good. I use those a lot. The analog as well. So think of it like a synthesizer, which you can program. You can make your own sounds, and then use them in your tracks. So basically learning a bit about synthesis, which we'll be learning towards the back end of this course. So we'll definitely be using these. The wavetable, that's really cool. Audio effects, so there's tons and tons of audio effects here. You can basically put these on your MIDI tracks or your audio tracks. So say you wanted to add some delay or some reverb onto something that you've recorded, or you wanted to add some reverb on a snare drum or something like that, then you can drag and drop these across. And within here, for example, there's lots of different presets as well, which are quite handy. As you're kind of learning, as you're beginning with music making, using presets can be quite a good way. MIDI effects, so So once you've kind of got your MIDI instruments, you can add different effects from there, like arpeggiators, chords, pitch shifting, everything like that. So you can have a mess around with that. Max for Live. This is an external program which works within Ableton. You can literally make synthesizers from scratch. You can make audio devices. This is a bit more advanced, more for like programming and coding, that sort of thing. Plugins. So this is where you have your kind of external plugins and things that I've bought over the years that you can then install and then use them within your projects. Clips. So there's tons of clips in here that you can use, loops, sounds that you can use within your songs, and then same with samples. These are more kind of single samples like drum kit sounds, everything like that that you can use within your projects. And then underneath, this is where I try to be a bit organised with my music. You've got your places. So there's packs, and there's tons of packs that you can get from the Ableton website. I'll just quickly show you where you get those. So if I go back down to the Ableton website, if you go to the top, it says packs. Once you've set up and you're registered, you've got an account, you can download these packs. So then if you click on, there's some which you can purchase, or there's many ones you can purchase, and there's loads of free ones as well, which are really cool. So I'd definitely recommend, once you've got your software installed, the break selection is really cool, and this beat selection. I'll be using some of these today, some of the beats from the beat selection for Live 9. So yeah, strongly recommend installing some packs, download and install them, and then they will appear here within your software. Now underneath, these are all different folders which are on my computer. So in other places on my hard drive, I've got lots of folders full of sounds, and I've organised these into different genres just to help me with my music making and when I'm teaching. I've got all these different sounds all lined up here and everything like that. And yeah, we'll be looking at some of those today. Again, you can just click the little triangles and it expands folders, things like that. So I've organised it into genres, drum kits, drum fills, percussion loops, etc. So yeah, yeah, you can kind of point the software towards a folder which is full of your sounds that you've downloaded, or maybe some sounds that you've purchased from other websites, and yeah, you can then access those folders instantly and then put the files and the sounds into your sessions. So yeah, that's pretty much the browser here. You can move this panel up and down if you want to see a little bit more. You can move that left and right if you want to expand that really, and then you can shut it off entirely so you can see the whole of your project down. So say you're performing live, you might just want to see this here in front of you, which is really cool. So so yeah, so that's looking at the browser. Audio clips and audio loops. So this is what we're going to look at next. So yeah, this is where I've got all my audio clips and loops saved on my hard drive. And yeah, if you either buy them or the ones you download from Ableton, they kind of organise them for you in like little packs and folders, which makes it a bit easier to navigate. So like I said, once you downloaded the packs, use those, and it's quite good to kind of get started with making music. So looking at, let's have a look at the genres folder that I've got set up. Now I downloaded actually, so actually no, before we go on to that, this Dirty House free pack. So there's a couple of other places where there's tons of websites out there which you can buy and download free packs from. There's one called Sample Phonics, which I've used loads. Once you've kind of set up and registered on there, you can log in and then you can download these free packs here. So there's Dirty House Freebie, Candy Coated EDM, Electronic Dream Pop. So these are really good just to kind of get started. I downloaded this Dirty House Freebie pack. On this website there's obviously ones you can buy as well. Obviously if you buy the packs, then you tend to get a load more sounds on there. And let's let's go back to the software, and what I did, I added that folder, I downloaded it, Dirty House Mini here, add folder, and then this is where I've got all my sample packs, loop packs here, and there it is there, and then I opened it there, and then it appeared in here, and you can see what's in that pack, which is cool. So looking just down here, this little button here, little blue headphones, it's really important you have that activated, because what it allows you to do is when you click on a file, it allows you to preview it before you actually commit to putting it into your session. So just be really, really careful in the software, in the browser. Try not to double click in this area. It's something that I kind of teach to people as I'm delivering my courses face to face, just because if you double click, it starts creating audio channels or effects racks or synths. In the past, I remember teaching somebody and they just kept double clicking everything, and it just basically crashed the whole computer. It couldn't handle it. So just be really, really careful not to double click in this area unless you actually want to produce an audio channel. I tend to just, if you right click in an empty space here where it says drop files and devices here, right click and insert an audio track. So we'll be using some of those. I'm just going to delete these MIDI ones here because we're not going to be using those today. So if I just cut, right click, cut, and then we're just left with the audio. We're just going to be using audio. Next week we'll just be looking at MIDI, so we'll just be using the MIDI channels. So now I can preview that loop, go down. I can either just click once, or once you've kind of got it highlighted, you can use the cursor keys on your computer
Good
keyboard.
for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks.
I see some of you guys are leaving a few comments on there. I will reply to all comments after my lesson as well. So yeah, feel free to write more comments on there. If there's something which I have said which you want me to go back over, just pop it in the comments and I can explain it to you again. So yeah, so what we're going to do here, we're going to drag and drop some of these audio clips or loops into the session. So let's just start off with the beat, and you just left click, drag and drop it into an empty audio, and it changes the name for the channel at the top. Let's put the bass in the next one underneath.
Good for the gimmicks.
Put the vocals, and you've got like a drop sound. One of those questions people always ask me when I deliver courses is, how do you make a drop? And it is quite an interesting question because a lot of people tend to like, especially in electronic music, the drop, obviously the bit where it kind of kicks off, properly kicks off. These sorts of sounds are really good. These kind of epic drop effect sounds are quite good for that, when you've kind of got maybe like a build up or like a breakdown, and then it goes to the drop. I guess it's kind of the dynamics of kind of going from quiet to loud with everything kind of coming in, and yeah, that's the kind of way to, it's kind of a combination of lots of different sounds, but these kind of effects, drop effectsy type sounds are really, really cool. What else have we got here? So these are the single hits.
Fresh.
Another single hit vocal. They're giving you actually a kick, a snare and a clap, which is quite cool, so you can make your own drum kit from those. So let's just begin with these first four sounds. The reason why I've put them on different channels is because you can only have one clip or audio file playing in a channel strip at one time. So what you really don't want to do, if you want your drums to go throughout, you don't really want to put some bass lines or some other sounds underneath that, because it just won't make sense when you're kind of working through, kind of triggering the different clips and sounds. So let's just start off with that, and you've noticed actually when if I just delete that, I'll drop that one back in. These are all empty. See the kind of stop buttons on there. Let's go back to the epic drop. If you drag and drop that in, it then turns into a play button. Because these are loops, it will just basically continue playing until you press stop underneath, or you press stop on the whole of your project. So if we just get this going. And then it will start again. So at the bottom here, that says 32. So this corresponds to the number of beats within that loop. So there was 32 beats in that loop. And then this basically gives you a counter as to how many times it's played through. So if I show you that again. So you can see there I played that for a couple of times. There's 2 lots of 32 on there. So so the next one along. So just before I begin, you notice that was going in the red there, which basically means these were a bit loud. So I'm just going to turn, using these little faders here, turn those down, and then probably a bit loud that bass as well. And then let's trigger the next one, the vocal.
Good for the gimmicks.
Turn that down a
I'm
bit.
good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the
Drop
gimmicks.
sound.
Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks.
That's a much
I'm good for
shorter
the
loop.
gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good.
Okay, so you notice I was triggering these kind of one by one going down here, which is all good. Obviously you can work that way if that's how you want to work. How I like to do it though is kind of organising the clips and the sounds in the kind of order that I want them playing. Partly because on the right hand side here, on this side here, there's these kind of master play buttons. So what you can do, you can set up your different combinations of your loops in all these different rows, and then you can trigger them up and down. And this is really, really cool to kind of start structuring your song, so that you can kind of, yeah, so you can kind of progressively add more and more sounds, or maybe take some away. And especially in dance music, I'd say that most of it's quite progressive. So you kind of start off with a beat, then add a bass line and a beat, and then a bass line and a beat and a synth, and then so on. And then you can take some bits out, put them back in again, that sort of thing. You just don't want to have everything playing all the time, because that's when it gets a bit boring. So yeah, thinking about your kind of arrangement on there as well. So a good way of doing it is by duplicating the actual clips that you've loaded in. So if I duplicate that there, and I'm going to do it, let's do one more. So what I was doing there, so I just right click on the clip and then go duplicate. You did notice there's a little shortcut here, which is quite handy, Command and D. So let's do that one more time, and I'm going to do the same for this one, and then actually no, I'll take that out now, and then we're going to go back to that one there. So it kind of looks like steps, you're kind of working down the steps. And so to begin with, we're just going to have a beat, and then we're going to have a beat in a bass line, and then we're going to have a beat in a bass line and a vocal, and then we're going to kind of go to a bit of a, actually let's move that underneath, a breakdown, and then everything's going to come back in again. So it's kind of like the beginnings of a song, which is like I said, it's quite good to kind of get producing pretty much immediately from there. So right, so let's give this a go. So I'm just going to hit these master play buttons as I go down, and you'll hear it will start sounding like a track. One.
Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks.
Cool. So you get the idea there. Just by using just 4 sounds, you can start building a track and even start structuring it out, which is really, really cool. So because all these sounds have these are obviously been produced by other music producers, and they're all loops. Something I haven't shown you that is at the bottom here. So if you double click on the actual clip itself, it shows you what is actually going on in that audio clip as well. So you can kind of see it's all bang on in time. So if I just bring this up here so you can see it a bit better. This is a 8-bar loop here, and yeah, you can kind of see it's grayed out, or the kind of the color grey kind of goes from dark to light. This is basically indicating it's a different bar. So just from a distance, you can kind of see that yeah, each bar is changing there. So or each beat, so I should say. And up here, I haven't shown you this yet. So this is your tempo. Because all of these loops are kind of have been warped. Don't worry about warping for now. It's something we will be covering. Because they're kind of warped loops, what it means that you can basically speed up or slow down the tempo, and yeah, so you can adjust that if you wanted to have it at 120.
Good for the gimmicks. I'm good
Again,
for
you
the
can
gimmicks.
click on it and then use your cursors,
I'm good for the gimmicks.
keyboard.
Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks.
Go faster,
Good for the gimmicks.
go slower,
I'm good for the
whatever
gimmicks.
really. It all depends what style of music that you're making. Obviously, most genres have kind of a bit of a tempo range that you'll be producing in. So house music tends to be around like 120 to 130. So yeah, that's what it defaults as well. The time signature's over here as well. So 4/4, that's the time signature that we're in. And I kind of say that 99% of dance music is in 4/4. You might have a section in a song which goes into a little bit of 3/4, but yeah, most of the time it's in 4/4. I don't tend to adjust that much. The metronome, yeah, we'll be looking at that next week, because that's really, really important for when you want to kind of program your sounds and things like that. So yeah, yeah, so make sure that you kind of stick to one loop per channel, one type of loop per channel. You can add more audio channels in there if you want. So yeah, one other thing within this pack, which is quite handy, I'll just go back to it here, yeah. You see it says G, these ones say C, C. This is basically the key that the loop has been produced in. So it's really, really helpful when you're beginning. If you haven't got much musical theory, much knowledge around theory, if you can find lots of different packs which have got the key in there,
Good for the gimmick.
What it means is if you kind of put them together, they should sound alright. Not always, because obviously there's different textures, different sounds, but it kind of really helps you to kind of get started. So for example, I bought disco house pack here, purple disco engineering samples, and they've really kindly organised it all into keys. So this one is in G major, A major, B major, D sharp, F minor. So if you kind of get one of these packs, tons and tons of samples in there. So say for example with the synth, so with these ones here you kind of get a dry signal, so like a dry loop which hasn't got any effects on there, and then they've got a wet file there which has got some effects on there as well, but they're all in G major, so they all should kind of work together. Actually, these are in G. Let's see if any of these work with our session here. Let's try chucking that in there. So you see, it says drop files and devices here, so you can literally just drag and drop. There we go. Let's pull it with the vocal as that comes in. So now we can kind of go to this part.
Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks.
And so on. That didn't really work, but there you go, just as an example. So yeah, a lot of the time these packs will help with your production, in that it kind of organises everything for you in the keys, and also the tempo, BPMs as well. So you'll find that's quite common in a lot of sample packs that you download. So one other pack I was going to show you, so back into the genres in house music. These terrace house and these tech house ones, in the beat selection pack, which you can download for free from the Ableton website, these are in there as well. And these are quite cool because it gives you like different combinations of the same beat. Obviously this is drum loops. You can kind of see here they're all named the same thing. So it's basically the one beat, but like kind of different versions of that same beat. So if you just kind of preview them here, so this is the basic version of it. Kick and snare and hi-hats. And you've also got a top, just like the kick and the sound, synth sound there, and then you've got the full, which is like everything in there. So yeah, these are really, really cool to use. If I just show you, then let's create another channel quickly. There we go, chuck that in there. Audio. We're just using audio today. You kind of select them all, and it kind of puts them all in there for you. There you go, nice. So let's begin with, we've got our drum beat here. I might just mute that for now. You can mute your channel by clicking on these yellow buttons here, and you see it kind of grays out, so we won't hear that anymore. Same if you just wanted to solo, hit the S underneath, and then you can just hear that channel, so we can just hear this. Obviously we don't want that to peak. So now let's hear what that sounds like with these new variations in there. I just want to make sure that we've got the top. So let's just move that. You can shift these around to what you need. Let's have the top going in with that vocal in the break. Okay, so here we go. Actually sounded quite good.
Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for.
So there you go. I mean, that sounds pretty cool with that beat. I think I prefer that. So I might just delete that whole channel out. So you just click at the top, you can right click, cut, and see you later. Okay, so let's reset those. That's quite good to do actually. If you've got an empty kind of strip at the bottom, just click that and it kind of stops everything there. And click stop to go back to the beginning. So this time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start recording these clips just so that we can then see them in this view over here. So I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm actually going to record it, and then it records all the different clips into the arrangement view. So if I just kind of get that ready to go, just kind of click it once. Okay, that's ready to go, good to go. Now if I hit record, it will start playing it from the beginning.
Gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks.
Cool. Right. So I've recorded those in there. So if I hit the button over here, and you'll be able to see all of the audio clips are now in this view here. So if I just click this so that we don't need to see that bit, I want to see the whole session. There we go. So we can see everything there. So those four channels there of clips, you see it's a bit kind of greyed out. It's a bit like foggy, doesn't it? Partly because we are still in this kind of clip launch view kind of setup. So you see this little orange button at the top. If you click that, it will activate all the clips in this view. So if I click that now, there we go. That's better. You can see it nice and bright. One thing I just wanted to point out as well is I've kind of structured this. I wasn't clicking everything immediately because I wanted it to kind of be structured. So there's like 8 beats in a bar. So if I zoom in here, you can kind of see that the first beat lasts up until the 9th bar. So that's 8 bars, and then 8 bars later, and then a bass comes in. 8 bars after that, a vocal come in. Then there's 4 bars with that beat. We've got the epic drop effects, and then it comes back in. The reason I've done it this way is within dance music, pretty much everything is structured. So there's 8 beats, so 8 bars in a phrase, or a kind of block of bars. Basically every 8 bars something tends to change, or something's added, something is removed, and that's kind of what makes it progressive music. It might be 4 bars, so other genres which might be much slower, it might just be 4 bars. So yeah, just kind of, that's why it's kind of everything's geared up this way. So it kind of looks, you can see here, like I said, the colours change slightly because it's all set up to be in 8 bar blocks, which is really, really handy. So within this view, you can edit the actual audio files here. You can delete them, or you can duplicate them, or you can make them last longer. So say for example I wanted to take that vocal out, just actually highlight it, click on the writing at the top of the actual file, and then you can either right click and hit cut, or on your computer keyboard just hit backspace or delete, and then it disappears. If you made a mistake, Command and Z will undo it. If you go up to your edit menu here, there's loads of shortcuts here. I can't stress the importance of getting your head around shortcuts. It really makes the whole workflow much quicker when you're producing music. Knowing how to cut, copy, paste, move things around quickly, just help things kind of speed up. Musical flow is a really important part of music production. When you kind of get in that zone and you're just kind of focused on what you're doing, focused on that one sound or that one beat, shortcuts can really help. So yeah, if you look at the edit menu here, there you go, look, there's tons of shortcuts. I don't use all of them, but the main ones I use all the time. So we can, so for example, we wanted that vocal just to come in halfway through, maybe not straight into that drop. We can pick up the audio, move it around, and then yeah, you can come in a little bit later. Or say we wanted it to come in for much longer, we can just duplicate it and it makes another copy. That's one way of doing it. Or because it is a loop, because it says loop there, that's been activated. If you hover over the end of the audio file here, a kind of little bracket or like staple appears, and you can drag that and you can have it last a lot longer or shorter, whatever you like. So let's have it, yeah, to last there. So now we're in this view. Yeah, I tend to kind of use this view here to kind of get all my ideas together. Once I'm happy with what I've got, I'll record it into this view, and then I'll probably just stay in this view until I finish writing the song. But always switching back to this view because it's got your kind of mixer at the bottom here, your sends, things like that. But yeah, to actually look at the arrangement, this is the best view to kind of do that in. Or if you're doing it live, you might just want to kind of do it entirely in here, but that's all good. Okay, so now we're in this view. I like to be a little bit organized with my sessions, and one of the best ways to kind of do it is by color coding things. So I've kind of got my own palette that I use of different colors. A lot of the time when you kind of produce a track, you might have 30, 40, maybe even 50 different channels or different sounds, and you kind of want to group those sounds together. So you might have all your drums at the top, and then all your basses underneath the drums, and then like your synths and pianos and strings underneath that, and then maybe your vocals, and so on. So it's really good to kind of be organized. So if you just right click, it shows you here's like your palette here, which is quite good. So what was the top? That's drums at the top, so I'm going to make that yellow. And then if you just kind of draw around, draw a kind of box around the audio files there, oops, and right click on there, that turns that yellow. I like my basses to be purple, so I'm going to turn those purple, right click, change it there. Vocals, I like to be orange. Don't ask me why, but since I started making music, this is just how I do it. And then the epic effects, what was that one? Let's make that green. There we go. So yeah, so if I carried on writing this track, I'd probably have lots of kick drums on their own channel, snare drums, hi-hats, all the drum kit in separate channels. Then I have probably a few basses, vocals, synths, pianos, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, organising it into colours is really helpful. Because it's all about layers. Like I said, these are kind of your layers of different sounds. A lot of the time when you hear a piece of music, it might just sound like it's one sound. You might hear like a bass line or a melody. It just sounds like it's one thing. A lot of the time, it's probably 3 or 4 sounds that are made up, layers, maybe some mid, some high, some doing kind of slightly different rhythms, but because they've kind of been mixed that way, it kind of sounds like one sound. And yeah, so that's why you'll see, if you open up a session, a lot of producers will have tons and tons and tons of audio channels, effects channels, MIDI instruments, all different things like that. So yeah, that's the best way to do it like that. Okay, so now we're in this view. If I go back over to this view, if I start triggering these again, I'll just quickly show you.
Good for the gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks. Good for the gimmicks.
So now I've kind of triggered those. You'll see they've grayed out again. So if that happens, just make sure you click the orange button, or you can do it individually just by clicking these little grey buttons here, and it will reactivate those there. And then yeah, you can, if you did have some clips, you can just work in this view if you want. There's some producers I know who use Ableton that only use this view. They don't really tend to use this view much. Whilst you're kind of getting started with it, it's quite cool to get your head around this view. And then now you're in this view here. If I create another channel, audio channel, you can drag and drop these audio clips, loops, sounds directly into your session here. So let's put that in at the beginning. Again, because it's an audio loop, the little bracket will appear, and we can extend that, or you can just duplicate it. Let's have it going upstairs. So now, back to the beginning, click stop twice. Oh, that's peaking, so let's turn that down. There we go, that's nice. It's quite good to learn to zoom in and out. I'm going to view, you can zoom in and out. On the Mac it's plus and minus. You can zoom right in, zoom out. I think you press Shift Z, yeah, puts it into that view. And then you can, if it's in that view, you can just click these little triangles here, and then
Good for the gimmicks.
put
I'm
that
good
up
for
to
the
the top.
gimmicks.
There you see I've got my
Good for
drums
the
together.
gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks.
Copy that.
Good for
put
the
it in there.
gimmicks. I'm good for the
Right.
gimmicks.
So yeah, this is really, really basic kind of
I'm
song
good for the
structure.
gimmicks.
At the bottom it shows you how long it is
I'm
lasted
good
for.
for the
At the
gimmicks.
top it shows you how many
Good for the
bars.
gimmicks. I'm good for the gimmicks.
Most dance music tracks tend to kind of be about 5-6 minutes, unless it's like a radio edit, which normally lasts for about 3.5 minutes. A lot of my tracks probably last 6, 7, sometimes 8 minutes if I get a bit carried away. And yeah, this is how you kind of use the session view to kind of get your sounds together, and then record them into this view here, and then you can kind of start messing around in there really. So I think that's everything that I've covered for this week, and I'll just quickly show you the flyer again for the next few days. This is going to be the same for the whole of this term, so it's 10 weeks, and live on the YouTube channel. Myself obviously on Monday, Lisa on Tuesdays, Jack on Wednesdays, Gregory on Thursdays, and then on Fridays we've got Matty. So there's the email address here if you want to find out more. Please follow Cloth Cat's Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and here are my details again. So if you want to contact me there on my email address, just drop me an email there. Please follow Function and Cyclic, and yeah, I think that's everything there. So so thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week.